Hey guys, how's it going? I am Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and welcome to PhoneDog Live, episode 45, on Ustream, on Facebook, and on YouTube. We post the recording of this on YouTube. If you're watching, check out the description below the video because it will have a timeline so you can skip around and you don't have to listen to the whole thing. And if you don't do that, then don't complain to me about how long the show is. It's not my fault. I got the timeline there for you. Welcome to the show. We actually have stuff to talk about this week. It's pretty crazy, I know. Most weeks, I just make up stuff. And then, I don't make it up, obviously it's news, but then I kind of just like ramble because there's not really anything major to talk about. But this week, there's actually topics. It's pretty cool. It's been a while. So thanks for joining the show. If you guys are live, thanks for being here. I love having a live audience. It makes me feel like I'm not just talking to myself. So thanks for being here. And then if you are watching on YouTube, that's good too. I appreciate that too. And you can also, we're going to have a live chat or a live thingy, open Q&A at the end of the show. So if you're live, you can join that. But also on YouTube, you can join the conversation as well. Leave your comments. I try to read those. But let's go ahead and get started. I want to start with the LG Lucid, just because it was just announced, coming March 29th, which is actually yesterday, so it's already here, which shows you how in tune I am with the world. The LG Lucid, this is a pretty cool phone because, well, first of all, because it's a good phone, you know, it has a 4-inch Nova display, 5-megapixel camera that captures 1080p HD video, a dual-core processor, and it's an LTE device, you know, using Verizon's LTE network, but it's only $80, which is pretty cool. And, you know, this is kind of going into the territory of the Pantech Burst, which was... excuse me, sorry, my throat. The Pantech Burst, which was, if I'm right, $50 on contract, and again, you know, had a dual-core processor and an AMOLED display and LTE connectivity. People make fun of me for the way I say connectivity. I think some people say connectivity. I say connectivity. I don't know. It's just the way I say it. So, you know, kind of bordering in that territory of a very inexpensive, budget-friendly device, but not like the typical, you know, budget-friendly. Like, you know, usually when we say budget-friendly, it means like cheap piece of crap, you know, like maybe a 1 gigahertz processor or, you know, maybe like a 4-inch display if you get lucky. But budget-friendly usually means cheap and not a good phone. Or at least, you know, not a great phone. But, you know, the LG Lucid, along with the Pantech Burst, budget-friendly phones, but they're actually good phones. Like, these are legitimate phones that you can buy and be proud of and use, you know, not just like, just use whenever you have to or try to, you know, use web browsers. I mean, you can actually use these phones and do games and browse the internet, but it's only $80 on contract, which I think is great. You know, I mean, obviously, we've got some phones coming out with a quad-core processor, you know, HD displays, cameras that can literally replace your point-and-shoot camera. I mean, there's some awesome phones, but they're like $200. Or, you know, if you're on Verizon, a lot of their LTE phones are $300. And that's a lot of money. I mean, if you have the money to spare, then, you know, sure, go for it. I definitely recommend checking out the HTC Resound or the Motorola Droid Razr Max. Those are awesome phones. But if you don't have $300 or even $200, but you still want a phone that's good, it's just great that we have these options now. Like I said, the specs, dual-core processor, you know, 5-megapixel camera, maybe not the best, and then, you know, the 1080p HD video capture is probably not as good, even though the resolution is great. You know, it's probably not as good in terms of quality as, like, high-end phones or like the iPhone, because you're still using that 5-megapixel sensor there. It does ship with Android 2.3, which, again, maybe kind of one of the sacrifices that you have to make. You're not going to get Android 4.0 out of the box. Now, will it get Android 4.0? LG says that it's upgradable to Ice Cream Sandwich, so, we're assuming eventually. But, you're still getting Android 2.3, a gig of RAM, which means that you're pretty much not going to have any problems. So just, very exciting to see these great phones that are they don't cost an arm and a leg, and on two different carriers. This isn't just one carrier who decided to make cheap phones. This is AT&T got the Pantech Burst. This is Verizon, getting the LG Lucid. So, T-Mobile has done, pretty good with their lineup. Sprint, has done pretty good with their lineup, but it'd be nice to see more phones like these, that are inexpensive but still great phones, because that's the problem with Android. This could really be great for Android, because one of the problems with Android is that there's a million Android phones, and the market saturation is unbelievable, but most people who buy an Android phone buy the ones that are somewhat like mid-range to low end. I do see a lot of people with back when the HTC EVO came out, I saw a lot of people with the EVO. I've seen people with some of these nice HTC phones or the Droid Razr, but most of the time I see people with the LG Optimus One, or the T-Mobile Comet, if you remember that, or some of these low-end phones, and it kind of gives Android a bad reputation, but it's not their fault. They need an inexpensive phone, and so that's what they get. And so if you can have now these great phones that are inexpensive and that will give you a great experience, I don't think it'll be, that much better. And, obviously Android isn't suffering. I mean, the market share is not suffering just because there's a lot of cheap, crappy Android phones out there. I mean, obviously it wasn't a problem, but it certainly won't hurt to have better phones that are still inexpensive. That's the LG Lucid. It's available now for $79.99, 4G LTE. That alone, to me, LTE is one of just the great things, and everybody's different. For some people it's a large display, for some people it's a physical keyboard, for some people it's one thing. For me, it's LTE and beautiful displays. It doesn't have to be huge, but just, a nice Super AMOLED or Super AMOLED Plus, you're like this, it's a Nova display, it's going to be super bright. That to me is, those are the things that really get me when it comes to phones. I want to talk about this smoked by Windows Phone fiasco. This has become kind of a fiasco. So if you guys didn't hear, I'll just quickly recap it, although you've probably heard about it by now. Sahas Kata, which I think is how you pronounce it, he went into a Microsoft store to compete in this, smoked by Windows Phone thing that you guys have seen, where if your phone is faster than a Windows Phone device at certain tasks, then you get, whatever the prize is. The prize this time happened to be, I think, $1,000, or no, a custom laptop that was worth $1,000. So he went in to compete. My voice just cracked. That was totally awesome. He went in to compete. He had his Android phone, and the challenge was to bring up the weather of 2 different cities. And, obviously with Windows Phone, this is very easy because you're going to have 2 live tiles for 2 different cities for the weather. But he happened to have 2 widgets for 2 different cities. So he was very equal, actually. But in addition to that, he had also disabled the lock screen on his Android phone to where, in order to unlock it, all he had to do was push the power button and it would automatically unlock. You didn't have to slide it up or anything. So he did it faster than the Windows Phone employee, because the Windows Phone employee, obviously just had to unlock it and go to the screen, but she still had to slide up, whereas he just pushed a button. So he finished a couple milliseconds early. And even though he won, the employee said that he didn't win, citing, certain reasons like Windows Phone won because it displays the weather right there, or just because, it's been sort of this fiasco and he's gotten a lot of attention for it. Now, obviously there's the issues of, we weren't there, we don't really know what happened. This reason of just because, I'm kind of inclined to not believe that that's what the employee said, because, you'd have to be an idiot to be, well, we won just because. I mean, seriously, can you imagine somebody saying that? But, regardless, I do believe the story. I do believe that he won, and that, for whatever reason, they did not give him the prize. They did not say that he won. And I definitely think that Microsoft has handled this in a very poorly, regardless of whatever reasons they cited. I don't know. Regardless, they definitely should have just said, you won, you were faster, unless he broke some rule, which, as far as we know, he didn't. But, just say, you won, you were faster, here's your laptop, whatever, thanks, get out of here. And, but that didn't happen. And then whenever he published the report, Microsoft said, well, we challenge you to, let's do this again and, see who wins now. And that's not really the right way to handle it either, because he already won. You don't have to do another challenge. He'd already beat you at your other challenge. So I definitely think that Microsoft did not handle it in the right way. And of course, Microsoft eventually apologized and they gave him his laptop. But I will say that despite the fact that Microsoft did not handle it the right way, I think it's been kind of blown a little bit out of proportion. And I have to say one thing as a disclaimer. I use Windows Phone as my personal device. It's a Windows Phone device. I've talked before about how I really enjoy Windows Phone, and I understand that everybody's different. Some people love Android, some people love iOS or BlackBerry, and I don't think there's any wrong decision. If you don't like Windows Phone, that's fine with me. But just, I do enjoy Windows Phone, and personally for me, I think it's better than Android or iOS just for my usage style. So I'm what's the word? Unbiased because of my job. I have to be, but I do want to say that I kind of do have some partiality here, just because I enjoy Windows Phone. So I think by nature I would kind of come to its defense. That took 5 minutes to say, and that was probably one of those moments where you guys were like, oh my god, just get to the point. So anyway, I'm getting to the point now, but that was just my disclaimer. But I will say that I do think it's kind of been blown out of proportion. A lot of people are starting to say that well, the competition was unfair, and it's always unfair. They say, so the challenge was to display the weather from 2 different cities. Who does that? So, obviously Microsoft rigged this in their favor. They're, picking challenges that, nobody's going to be able to beat just to make sure that they win. They're training the employees to let them know exactly how to do it that way, just to make sure that they don't lose. And that, I think, is not really fair. This situation aside, I think the Smoked by Windows Phone campaign is excellent and very true to what Windows Phone is all about. And, again, I mean, yeah, the point is for Microsoft to win, so obviously they're going to try to win. But I don't think it was done in an unfair way. Just to mention, a couple of things that people bring out about how the competition is unfair. They say, well, the Microsoft employees have been trained to, they show them how to do everything. They have the phone set up to where, the employee has an unfair advantage because of that training. Well, if you think about the training in comparison to most people know their phone pretty well. Most people have been using their phone for a while. They have it set up a certain way that fits them. They know how to get to everything quickly. So, yeah, the employee has been trained, but that's, to me, is no different from a person who is accustomed to their phone. I mean, that's really what they're trying to simulate by training the employees, to make sure that they know the Windows Phone device just as well as the challenger knows his or her, Android or iOS device. Also, a lot of the challenges that people have brought out, they say that they're things that people don't really do. Like, how many people have a widget or access to weather from 2 different cities? Well, not a lot of people, and obviously that was a very bad challenge. But a lot of the challenges are not like that. If you watch these videos, they have them on YouTube. It's, Windows Phone YouTube channel. But a lot of the challenges are, okay, take a picture and post it to Facebook. or just take a picture, or post something to Facebook, or call your spouse, or somebody close to you, dial their number, or check the weather like from one city, or get directions to find a restaurant nearby and then get directions. A lot of these are tasks that people do every day. Take a picture and post it to Facebook. That's something that people do every day. Or find a nice restaurant and then get directions to it. A lot of the challenges are things that people do every day. Now, I will admit that some of them are a little bit out of the ordinary and things that Windows Phone excels at. Like, for example, there was one challenge. This is a specific one that I just watched recently. The challenge was, they've done before, like, find a restaurant and get directions to it, which I think is a great challenge. But one that I saw recently was find a 4-star restaurant and get directions to that. Now, the thing with Windows Phone is that you have Local Scout, which means that you can quickly find restaurants, basically anything nearby. It'll tell you the price range. It'll tell you, 4-star, 3-star, right there in one quick list, and you can quickly get directions to it. That's something that's, specific to Windows Phone. And so obviously Windows Phone is going to win that challenge. I don't really know if that's fair. You have to find a 4-star restaurant. Well, only Windows Phone can do that. And okay, yeah, so there, Windows Phone is better. But, if you want to make it a fair challenge, my point is that there are some challenges that aren't fair, but for the most part, they are. And I think, a lot of people are kind of forgetting about that. In the end, like I said, Microsoft definitely could have handled it better. But I don't think that, people jumping on Microsoft, and see, this is the thing. This is the bottom line of the whole thing, is that people just wanted an excuse. It's because, Windows Mobile basically just tarnished Microsoft's reputation for a good reason. I've said before, Windows Mobile was an abomination, and whoever the team that designed that should all, just be taken out. Not killed, because that's really mean, but something painful and horrible should happen to them for creating Windows Mobile. So, because of that, Microsoft has a bad reputation, and a lot of people trash talk Windows Phone without even using it. And so this story, it was just another excuse that people could use. See, Windows Phone, it's not as great as everyone says. It's like, okay, this is an isolated incident, and this challenge, it's really not like that. It is a fair challenge. And I think it's been blown out of proportion a lot. That's my 2 cents. Like I said, I enjoy Windows Phone, so obviously I'm going to come to its defense. But also logically, I think if you listen to those arguments, I think definitely some good points that I brought out. Let's move on. We will move on to, I want to talk about something. Oh yeah, I want to talk about this. The Galaxy Note. So we've talked about the Galaxy Note. I've talked about how I don't really like it. I think it's too big, 5.3-inch display. It's like a friggin', tablet. I don't think I just don't like it. However, people love it. And every time I mention this, I am literally shocked by how much people like this phone. I'm just dumbfounded. And so we just got some numbers on how how shipments are doing, how well it's selling. The original report, the original headline, was that Samsung had shipped 5 million Galaxy Notes worldwide, which is pretty amazing. 5 million devices, that's pretty amazing, whenever it's not the iPhone. Like anything besides the iPhone, and you ship 5 million units, that's pretty amazing. However, we've heard numbers like this before. And, what people always say is, well, yeah, you shipped them, but how many did you actually sell? Which is completely valid. But then we got an update to this story, and it was actually a correction. They didn't just ship 5 million. They actually sold 5 million Galaxy Notes, which is, crazy, okay? Again, this still surprises me, how excited people are about the Galaxy Note. And obviously it's a great phone when you look at the specs. Dual-core processor, beautiful display. It's got the S Pen, which I guess some people use. It has a great camera. I mean, in terms of LTE, if you're in the States, in terms of a phone, yeah, it's an awesome phone. But for me, I just can't get over the size. And somebody mentioned, I don't know who it was because I didn't see the screen name, but somebody mentioned my tiny hands. And yeah, that probably has a lot to do with it because I do have small hands. And so, for me to use a Galaxy Note, it's like I have a where'd it go? I have a Kindle Fire, which has a 7-inch display, and it's like totally just disappeared. I have no idea where it went. Somewhere. Anyway, I have a Kindle Fire. It has a 7-inch display, which is pretty small for a tablet. That's about as small as it gets. And I still have a hard time typing in portrait mode. I mean, I can barely reach my thumbs across, and that's, it's a 7-inch display, but most people, they can still type comfortably. So, you can imagine me with a 5.3-inch display. Obviously, it's smaller, so I would still be able to type comfortably, but it's going to be, like, huge in my hands. And so that's probably why I'm still kind of like, I don't know. It's because I do just have small hands. Everybody's different. Everybody likes something different. But, it's funny because we have on PhoneDog the official smartphone rankings. If you guys haven't checked that out, by the way, phonedog.com/rankings. You can vote for your favorite phone. The votes are tabulated, and then every Monday the list will refresh to show the top 5 phones based on you guys, your votes. But we also have an expert panel with, experts, me included, I don't know why, but anyway, experts from just everywhere, not just PhoneDog, but other sites as well. And I think most everybody has a Galaxy Note as like, at least, somewhere in the top 5. And for me, it's not even in the top 5. And I kind of feel like that odd person who just doesn't get it, but to me, it's not one of my top 5 phones. And of course, I have a little leeway here because it's a personal list. So, I can say, personally, I don't think it's one of the top 5 phones, so I'm not like obligated to just put it in there just because. But yeah, I think I'm the only person who doesn't have the Galaxy Note in their top 5 because I don't see the allure of it. But apparently a lot of people have. 5 million people have worldwide because that's how many they've sold, which is pretty crazy. Google wants to open an online store and sell tablets to consumers. This is kind of interesting, and I don't think it would be as interesting if Google hadn't already tried this and failed miserably. If that hadn't happened, it would have been like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, Google Shopping, that's like a store, and you buy stuff. I mean, yeah, it makes complete sense. But because they did already try and fail, it's like, I thought we already did this. We already tried this, and it didn't work. Granted, the reasons why it failed were like completely avoidable. I mean, first of all, there was no advertisement. I mean, you had like this tiny little link on Google's homepage, and like that was it. I mean, and most people, it was so small and like did not attract any attention that I don't think most people even noticed it. Outside of that, I didn't see any commercials. I mean, there was just no advertising for this store. So, like, that's obviously it's going to fail, okay? I know you're Google, but you can't just create something and expect people to buy it without actually hearing about it. So, if Google does actually decide to advertise this store, then yeah, it might not fail. But it's kind of interesting that they're going to be just selling tablets. And I don't know why. I don't know if they think that originally it failed because they were selling phones, and now they're like, well, we'll try tablets and see if that... Like, it didn't fail because you were selling phones. It failed because you didn't advertise it. So I'm not sure what their thinking is there. But they are going to be selling tablets. At least this is the rumor, according to sources familiar with the matter. Speaking to Wall Street Journal, they say that Google is planning on opening a store where they can sell tablets. Google will not be designing these tablets. These will not be like Google-made tablets. They're going to be tablets from, Samsung or Asus or, Motorola, and, like the Transformer Prime or something, and they're going to sell it at the Google store. I don't know if the Transformer Prime is going to be in it, but, that's an example. So it's not going to be like, like the Nexus, the original Nexus that was part of that original Google store. Like, it kind of seemed like it was straight from Google, but it wasn't really. This is going to be the same thing. It's not really Google made. We're hearing that there's no time frame for when the store could open, but, they're working on it right now. I think this could be interesting. Will they succeed? Yeah, and it's like I've already said, we talked about this when the original store came out and failed. I said, like, this is a great idea. I mean, to have a phone, especially because phones are usually like subsidized with a carrier. Tablets, you can buy them like Wi-Fi only, but phones, it's only Sprint or only Verizon. So Google's original store was, selling phones for any carrier. Like, you get the Nexus on T-Mobile or Sprint or anywhere. And I was like, that's a great idea. That's awesome. You have your own store. People know it's Google. They know it's Android. They know it's a great phone. They can get it from any carrier. Boom. Beautiful. Euphoria. Okay. But the no advertising. And that's one thing I pointed out. I was like, if you don't advertise this, Google, you're not going to get any customers. I mean, ask any small business owner or any business owner, really. If you don't advertise, you're not going to get any customers. And so, could this be successful? Yeah, absolutely. The other one could have been successful if they actually advertise it more than just a little link on google.com, little bitty text, check out our store. Like, no one's going to pay attention to that, okay? I don't pay attention to any of that crap on google.com because it's so empty that you're like, well, whatever is here is probably not important, because if it were, they would have made it like a bigger thing. Anyway, but that's what we're hearing, and we don't know when it's gonna open up, but I think it'd be exciting. And the tablets are supposedly going to be subsidized, so you'll be able to get them for cheaper. Now, I don't know if that means that you have to get a contract with it, or if it's just gonna be just cheaper. You get it and then like maybe make monthly payments or something. I don't know, but that's what we're hearing, that the tablets will be a little less expensive than if you were to just buy them outright. Let's see. Let's move on to another tablet or another another topic. Oh yeah, the HTC EVO One. As like I said, we have stuff to talk about. There's topics this week. It's so cool. Okay, the HTC EVO One, rumored for Sprint with 4G LTE and a hefty battery. So the EVO One, which kind of seems like the One X, which, like from the name, it has one in it, and it's by HTC, so you're like, okay, so this is like the Sprint version of the One X. Not really. It's a little bit different. It has a 4.7-inch HD AMOLED display, which is like, whoa. It's basically like the Galaxy Nexus. It's not Super AMOLED or Super AMOLED Plus. It's just AMOLED, which is kind of disappointing. I understand having the HD resolution is really nice, and it'll make text and graphics really clear and crisp, but Super AMOLED Plus, the color saturation is just, it's just gorgeous. And so I don't know why they would just AMOLED. I mean, the MyTouch from T-Mobile for like $20, that has an AMOLED display. I mean, come on, HTC, you can do better than this. But anyway, 4.7-inch HD AMOLED, 720p HD AMOLED display, 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processor, 8-megapixel camera, also has a front-facing camera. It will have Beats integration, which seems to be pretty much every HTC phone now that they've partnered with Beats. It will have Android 4.0 with Sense 4.0, and it will have the kickstand like the original Evo had, so that's pretty cool. And then, so the battery that I mentioned, hefty battery, it'll have a 2,650 milliamp hour battery, which is huge. And that's kind of getting into like Droid Razor Max territory, which is, Droid Razor Max is what, 3,000, something like that? Somebody correct me on that. 3,300. Okay, thanks, Bill whatever, Bill. Yeah, 3,300. 3,000 milliamp hour battery. That's the Galaxy, or the Droid Razor Max. The HTC EVO One will have a 2,650, so that's a pretty good battery. It's an LTE device, so wouldn't be, it's not like a 3G phone that has 2,650, but still you should easily be able to get through a full day, even with heavy use. So that's pretty cool and kind of unexpected. Like, the Droid Razr Max, like the sole purpose of that phone is the larger battery. I mean, you have the Droid Razr, which is an awesome phone, but then the Droid Razr Max, the only reason they did that was to have a larger battery. But with the HTC EVO One, like there wasn't really anything about this that would tell you, oh, that's definitely going to have a larger battery. It's kind of like they just decided to do it. So I don't know if this is a new thing, like HTC is going to do this from now on or what. So that's the EVO One coming to Sprint. Could this be the phone that HTC and Sprint announced at their, April 5th event? Possibly. We'll find out. It is, like I said, kind of different from the One X. The One X has 32 gigabytes of internal memory. The EVO One has 16 gigabytes, a little bit different. The One X has a Super LCD display, and the EVO One has an AMOLED display. Other than that, like pretty much the same thing. The One X, I don't see any integration with Beats, unless I just missed that in my notes. But that apparently will not have Beats, whereas the EVO One will, unless I'm wrong about that. So that's the EVO One. Pretty exciting. Sprint customers, I've said this before about Sprint. They don't always have a lot of great phones, but they generally have either the best phone on the market or like one of the top two. And that's been true for a while. Like they had the EVO, they got the Epic. They've consistently had one of the best phones on the market. Now, they don't have very much outside of that, but at least, you have that one phone and it's going to be an awesome phone. Whereas, with T-Mobile, they have like a lot of awesome phones, but they're not always the best on the market. Verizon has like just the best in general. But, with Sprint, like you don't have a lot of phones, but it is still one, and I think the EVO One will be the same thing. We don't know when that's coming to Sprint, but that's all we know for now. I want to tell you guys about, I mentioned earlier, PhoneDog's official smartphone rankings, and this is, like I said, I'm going to drink water. Instead of just clearing my throat every 5 minutes, I'm going to drink some water. Maybe that'll help. So, official smartphone rankings, it's a pretty big deal. We have people from everywhere joining in from all different tech sites. We've got a ton of experts. But like I said, you guys can also vote, and we're having this cool contest. So by the end of this week, which is, by Sunday, April 1st, so which technically is the start of next week, but by Sunday, April 1st, we're going to try to get 5,000 votes. And in order to vote, all you have to do is have either a Facebook or Twitter account and use that to log into PhoneDog.com and vote. You vote one time, you just click on it. I just said time, like I'm from Texas. Time. You vote one time, you just click, and then you're done. So we're trying to get 5,000 votes, and if we do, we will be giving away a Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. This is the AT&T version, LTE Galaxy S2. We will be giving away one of those phones. We're going to have a drawing Tuesday, April 3rd, live. Aaron will be taking care of that, and somebody will win. Now, we have to get 5,000 votes. You have to be at least 16 years or older. Your account, you have to have a PhoneDog account linked to your Facebook or Twitter account. You have to have a minimum of 10 friends or 10 followers, and this isn't like a popularity contest. It's just to make sure that people don't just create 5 or 6 Facebook accounts and just like it so they can get more entries. It's only for that. So you have to have at least 10 friends or followers, just so we know that this is your one account, that you don't have 20 other ones. And then just like it, if we get 5,000, we're going to give it away. So be sure and do that. It's really easy, phonedog.com/rankings. And while you're there, you can see our rankings. We do a ranking every week, just like the People's Choice Rankings updates every Monday. We also submit our rankings every week, and so you can see our top 5 phones. I think right now, let me see what the top 5 phones are. Uh, top 5 are iPhone 4S, Galaxy Nexus, Samsung Galaxy Note, Droid Razr Max, and the Lumia 800. Those are the experts' top 5. And then you guys, your top 5 is basically the complete opposite of ours. Galaxy Note is number 1. You still have the Galaxy Nexus as number 2, just like us. Apple iPhone 4S is number 3. We had it at number 1. Galaxy S2 T-Mobile version is number 4. And then the Epic 4G Touch is number 5. So go ahead and submit your votes, and you could win a Galaxy S2 Skyrocket model phone. I was about to say the Skyrocket HD, but it's not that one. Lastly, one other thing I want to tell you guys about, and then we're going to move on to the open Q&A. I have a couple of really exciting things coming up for PhoneDog Live. I think it's going to be awesome. Of course, if you guys follow me on Twitter, I tweeted about this, I think a couple of days ago. We are going to be having another Ultimate Fanboy War. This is going to be round 2, and it's going to be taking place on, Friday, April 13th, is it? Let me see. Yeah, Friday, April 13th. Friday the 13th. I know it's spooky. So it's going to be Friday, April 13th, which is not next Friday, but the Friday after that. Ultimate Fanboy War. I will have a post on PhoneDog.com. I'm going to post it that Monday before the show, where you can enter. So, don't worry about entering right now. There's nothing you can do. But I'm just letting you know that's going to be Friday, April 13th. The rules are going to be changed a little bit. I learned a couple of things the last time we did it, so I'm going to change the rules just to make it better for everybody. But I'm going to have a post about that. So keep your eyes open for that. Last thing I want to tell you guys about, this is super exciting. We are going to have an interview with Martin Cooper. If you guys don't know who Martin Cooper is, he is the creator of the cell phone. He was on a team in 1973, Motorola team, that designed and created the very first cell phone that was commercially available at the time. And so it is very exciting. I got in contact with him, with his secretary, and we're going to have an interview. That's going to be on Tuesday. It won't be live, but we will post the entire interview, and then it's going to be kind of an extended interview, so if you don't want to watch the whole thing, I will be airing segments of it on PhoneDog Live that Friday, which is next Friday. So keep your eyes on PhoneDog.com for that interview. It's an honor. I mean, I'm so glad that he was able to take time out for us. It's going to be great. If you have a question that you want to ask Martin Cooper, leave it as a comment. I've posted a YouTube video. It's on PhoneDog.com. It's also on our YouTube channel. If you have a question, post a comment to either the YouTube video or the post on PhoneDog with your question, and maybe like your first name, just in case your YouTube screen name is really weird. Maybe just your first name, and I'm gonna pick about 5 questions and I'll ask them to him whenever I do the interview. I have some other questions already prepared, but I want to give you guys a chance to ask him a question as well. So that's really exciting. I'm just totally stoked about it, and I'm nervous. I'm actually kind of nervous. Whenever I try to get guests for the show. I mean, I've had a couple of guests, and I follow him on Twitter. I've seen interviews with him, and I thought, that would be kind of cool if we could have him. And so I searched around the internet for a while. It took a while, but I found an email address, and I was like, yeah, he's probably not going to respond. But, it's worth a shot. What is it going to hurt? Just send an email, and then you'll be done with it and move on to somebody else. But the next thing I know, I get an email response asking for what time we should set it up. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now I'm like, all right, I'm going to be interviewing the creator of the cell phone. This is pretty huge, but it's going to be fun. So that's going to be on PhoneDog, and you guys get to ask your questions. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm disappointed because I wanted to show you guys something, but I left it over there, and so I can't, which is kind of disappointing, but it's all right. We'll move on to the open Q&A now. If you have any questions for me, just say them. Just leave them. I'll be on Facebook. I'm on Ustream. on the chat. Wait, let me figure out on Facebook, because like the layout changed. I logged onto Facebook on Wednesday to do my Facebook Q&A that I do every Wednesday, and I was like, well, and so everything's different. So I have to find the Ustream thing. I hope I can find it. I don't even know where it is. Timeline? Oh, there it is. Okay. Awesome. There we go. I got it. I figured it out. Okay, so I'm on Ustream. I'm on Facebook. I'm also on Ustream. So ask your questions about anything. Okay, I'm ready now. What's the best phone on AT&T in your opinion? Best phone on AT&T, probably, in my opinion, Galaxy S2 Skyrocket, or the iPhone 4S. I would say those are the two best phones, and they're very equal. Like, I don't know if I could pick one above the other one. It just so happens that I prefer Android over iOS, so that's why I say the Skyrocket. But if you don't like Android, I say the iPhone 4S. When will the Note get ice cream sandwich? Let me see if I know that in my cheat sheet notes. The Note, Galaxy Note, Q2, second quarter, which is now, or no, probably starts next month. So sometime within the next couple of months. What was the thing you wanted to show us? I guess I could get up and go get it. It's pretty cool though. I wanted to show you guys. Hold on, I'll be right back. This is totally unprofessional, but I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry, I'm like squeezed in between this desk. Okay, so I got this thing, and it is the world's largest gummy bear. Okay, it's 10 inches tall, and it weighs 5 freaking pounds. Okay, they shipped it to me, you know, and when I got the box, it was like, I didn't realize how heavy 5 pounds is, but it's so heavy, and you can see like how big it is. It's a gummy bear, and it's totally edible. Like, see, there's a picture. It's totally edible. Anyway, I got it for my kid sister. She's like 6, and so I got it for her. And I wanted to show you guys because it's so crazy. I've been showing everybody because it's, 5 pounds, 10 inches tall, and it's a gummy bear, and you can eat it. So that's all. That's all I wanted to show you. I know it's probably not as exciting as you thought it would be. You probably thought it would be a phone, like a really cool phone, but it's not. It's a gummy bear. Okay. That's awesome. I know. It's freaking awesome. It's Are you mocking me, Taylor? It is real, and it's edible. It's awesome, okay? Are you a fan of the new Xperia devices? Yeah, totally. I love the design. I think that transparent bar that lights up, like the part where it lights up to match, the graphic on your screen, it changes to match that color. Like, that's, kind of cool. But I think just it looks beautiful. I love that design. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about those phones. What's your top 5 phones on the smartphone rankings? You can check that out. But I will tell you just, because my top 5 phones are... I have to check because I don't remember. Let me see. We have a lot of experts. We have Dan Seifert from Mobile Burn, Cam from Today's iPhone, and of course Evan, Alex, and Taylor are also part of it. Mark Flores from Know Your Cell, David from Timo News. There's somebody else, I thought. Oh, Marine Perez from Into Mobile. He's part of it too. My top 5 phones are Epic 4G Touch as number 1, iPhone 4S as number 2, Galaxy S2 Skyrocket as number 3, Galaxy Nexus number 4, and Lumia 800 as number 5. Those are my top 5. Let me check over on Facebook really quick to see if there's any questions there. Eat the gummy bear. I'm not going to eat the gummy bear. It's for my sister, so I'm saving it for her. Okay, back to Ustream. Sydney, do you rather touch buttons or hardware buttons? Um, I used to prefer hardware buttons just because, a lot of times I would sorry, I have to adjust this. Just because sometimes I would accidentally press the capacity, the touch sensitive buttons, and sometimes it was just, kind of annoying. But I think now I've gotten used to the touch sensitive buttons that now, like, when there's hardware buttons, I was like, oh, you mean I have to press this? What the heck? It's like, yeah, I know, I'm so lazy. So I think now I prefer the capacitive touch buttons. HTC are doing some changes at HTC Sense. What do you think? And have you heard anything interesting about it? HTCSense.com is changing. Yeah, they're getting rid of the cloud features and kind of like changing up the setup. What do I think about it? The cloud features were great. I don't know how many people actually used it. I'm inclined to think that not a lot of people used it just because they're shutting it down. But I don't have an HTC Android device, so I can't really tell you a lot about what I think of the changes or the functionality. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much that. Is WebOS officially dead? Not yet. It's open sourced, so theoretically it's alive. Who makes the best camera phone? Sony, HTC, Samsung, or Motorola? Well, Motorola has great sound. I will say that. Samsung is it's pretty good. They don't really excel at either sound or video, but it's one of the best usually. At least like the Galaxy S2. When you get the high end, one thing I will say about Samsung phones, their high end phones are excellent and generally some of the best phones out there. Their low-end phones suck. Like, they're really just crappy. So if you're going to get a Samsung, get the expensive one. HTC sound is an issue. I would probably say Sony. I've tested Sony Xperia phones, and their cameras were always excellent. Because, Sony makes cameras, and so I'd probably have to say Sony. Acer Iconia A100 or Kindle Fire? Well, in terms of, specs, performance, very similar. The big difference, and what I'm going to say is the Acer Iconia has Honeycomb. It has a full tablet version of Android, whereas with the Kindle Fire, you're getting a very, very modified version of Android, and it's kind of closed. You don't have the Android market or Google Play Store. You have the Amazon market. There's less apps, still enough apps, and they're good quality apps, but there's less of them. And so in terms of that, I'd probably say go with the A100. You're getting a full tablet version. You have a lot more functionality. Performance may be better too because tablet doesn't have to carry around that custom skin. The processor doesn't, and you get the full Google Play Store. Totally missed my question. I'm sorry. Thoughts on 4G in UK? Probably could use some improvements there. That's one thing I will say that I hear a lot of UK people talk or complain about is that they have great prices. Their phones, they have great prices on their phones, great plan prices, but 4G is where you really struggle. When will BlackBerry 10 be out? Let me see if I know that. BlackBerry 10, I don't know. We don't know. I'm sorry. When will the HTC One line be coming out? The rumors for that are April. We're hearing the T-Mobile HTC One S could be coming April 22nd. HTC One X in the coming months. We're hearing that the Sprint version of the One X could be coming June 10th. So there's that. Expectations for the Galaxy S3. I think it's going to be awesome. And if you guys watch the show, Galaxy S line has always been some of my favorite phones. The original Galaxy S, the Galaxy S2. I have a thing, I love Super AMOLED Plus display. I love beautiful displays, and AMOLED technology is my favorite. So, it's got that. I love TouchWiz. A lot of people don't, but I've always loved TouchWiz. Even when it was really cartoonish and colorful, I liked it even then. Now I like it even more, but I've always liked TouchWiz. And so, yeah, for me, Galaxy S3 is going to be awesome. And, I think it's been great. I think TouchWiz has come a long way. It's a lot more refined. And so I think I have high expectations for it. I think it should do really well. Do you think that when BlackBerry 10 is out, it will still be a step behind BlackBerry 9 is now? Step behind. Did you mean to put a period there? Do I think it'll be a step behind? Well, the OS, probably not. From what we've seen, at least the leaked pictures, it looks great. And what it should be, what an operating system should be in this mobile market that we have now. The question is hardware. Software is fine. At least it will be when BlackBerry 10 comes out. But the question is hardware. Is RIM going to create devices that can compete in terms of specs and performance with Android and iOS and Windows Phone? Now, I understand the operating system may be designed so that it doesn't need a quad-core processor, and I understand that. But what about the camera? And what about overall performance? I think that's what's really going to make it or break it. Does BlackBerry 9 even exist? Yeah, that's where I got confused, because when I read it, I was like, BlackBerry 9? But that's why I figured there was supposed to be a period there or something. Okay, let me check Facebook. Okay, I was like, wait a minute, I just read that question. Okay. I do want to tell you guys about, I told you last week how I was thinking about switching to Android, and so I had the Pantech Burst lying around as one of the demo units. I just finished a review, and so I kind of started thinking, I kind of miss Android, and so this was a phone that was nearby, so I kind of grabbed it, and I said that I would only switch to Android if I could make it look the way that I like. Now I know that you can, and this I didn't clarify. I don't think I explained it. Blah, blah, blah. I know what to say. I know how to talk. I don't think I explained this well enough last week. I understand that you can customize Android a lot, but my problem was that I could never make it look the way I wanted it to, and that was a problem. I knew I could mess with it all day, but even after messing with it all day, I still didn't like the way it looked. And so that was the issue. And so I decided if I can make it look the way I want it to look, the way that I like, then I might actually think about switching. And so I kind of showed you guys my progress last week with customizing this phone. And I want to show you guys, I'm pretty much done now. So this is my home screen, and I don't know if you'll be able to see everything, with the lighting and everything, but you can see it's kind of the same as what it was last week. Let me get the reflection out of there. But I have these new shortcuts on the side. They're in vertical mode, and at the bottom you can see I changed the dock here at the bottom. So very minimalistic. I got rid of the notification bar up at the top. So it's kind of nice, and I have the pink accent marks. I think it's nice. And then over here, this one took me forever. I'm very proud of this page. So I have these icons arranged in a grid. I actually downloaded an icon pack. This is a Migo icon pack. Last week I said Symbi, and I meant to say Migo. This is a Migo icon pack, and then I used an app, Minimalistic Text, to create weather widget in text form. So it says the weather in Dallas is whatever it is, and then it says it's 78 degrees outside or 77 degrees outside. And I have this set to where Dallas, the location will change depending on my location, and then the weather, like cloudy or partly cloudy, that will also change. But it's text, so I think it looks pretty cool. And then at the bottom I have today is whatever. So these are all my shortcuts, and I actually changed a lot. I downloaded Launcher Pro, and so that's what I used to change the dock, to get rid of the notification bar. I changed the grid. I think it's 6 down and 5 across. So that means that I can have these icons a lot closer together. So that's that, and then over here I have this is Switch Pro widget, so I have like Wi-Fi, vibrate, and all of that. And then this is a quote. This is a quote from a song by AWOL Nation. I don't know if you guys know who AWOL Nation is, but they're an awesome band, and I knew about them before they played them on the radio. I just want to say that. Anyway, this is a quote from one of their songs, and I love the song, I love the album, I love the song, and I love this quote. But anyway, so my dilemma was, I have all these links, camera, ESP, and I had to create these because the icon pack didn't have icons for them, which was frustrating, so that's why I have these word links. But then the last link was Slacker, at Slacker Radio, and I was like, dang it, I don't want to have a word, I don't want to just have the Slacker widget, that's lame, but there's no icon for it. So this text is actually just text, that's all it is, but I made it to where it's a shortcut, so when I click on it, it goes to Slacker. So it's pretty cool. That's what I did to customize it. It took me a week, okay, literally, and that's working on it sometimes hours a day, 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, literally, because, I have nothing else to do. And so it took a long time, but I got it exactly the way that I like it. And then the missing piece, it's beautiful. This is the missing piece, okay? I found, by happenstance, I don't know how I found it, but I found a Game Boy Color emulator in the Google Play Store, and so I was like, man, Game Boy Color. I used to have one, and I was like, I wanna try that, but I didn't know, like, how do I get the games, because you don't just download the games from the Play Store because it's an emulator. And so I found this website, freeroms.com. I downloaded a Pokemon Red ROM and used it. It's like, oh, that's what it's like. It's beautiful. And so just playing Pokemon Red, I know it's totally cheesy, but it brings back so many memories of 5th grade with my Game Boy Color playing Pokemon Red, because that was the version I had. There's like all, like, you can download, yellow or gold or silver, blue, all that crap, but I had the red one, so that's the one I downloaded. And so now it's like, that's what I do that. That's primarily what I use this phone for now, is play Pokemon Red. But anyway, I want to just kind of give you guys the update on how it looks. I had to use a ton of stuff: minimalistic text, Launcher Pro, simple text. What is this widget? Switch Pro. That's a widget. It took a lot, the icon pack, but I really like it. So now, am I actually going to switch back to Android? I got it all done. I love the way it looks. I really do. I really love the way it looks. But even after that, after all of that, I still missed Windows Phone. And this is like totally personal. Not everyone's going to feel this way, and I'm like totally okay with that. Me personally, I just missed Windows Phone, the way it looked, the keyboard, the fluidity, the design of everything. And one major thing that I kept thinking about was, I've spent all this time customizing my home screen and the way that it looks. But whenever I go to an app, all of that disappears. That entire UI, it's all gone. It's the UI that the app developer created or decided to use. And like most of the time it looks great. Not like the apps are ugly, but it's their own personal UI, and all that work that I did to create my own UI, it's all gone. Whereas with Windows Phone, that UI is present through everything, even the apps, even third-party apps that you download. They all have that same Metro UI. Now, if you hate the Metro UI, obviously that sucks. But if you like it, like I do, it means that UI that you love, it doesn't just go away whenever you open an app. And to me, that was a big thing, because I spent all this time customizing it, but all that work is gone as soon as I open an app. So I still don't know if I'm going to go back to Android, but I just kind of wanted to update you guys on my progress. And I think I just spent like 10 minutes talking about that, which I apologize for. But and I know a lot of people are recommending Launcher 7, which Launcher 7 is fine. If it's nowhere near what Windows Phone is actually like. If your impression of Windows Phone comes from Launcher 7, then you've been severely shorthanded, because it's not visually, yeah, kinda, but it's nowhere near Windows Phone. Secondly, if I'm going to download a Windows Phone UI or launcher, I might as well just use Windows Phone. So anyway, I'll answer a couple more questions just because I spent 10 minutes talking about that and I feel kind of bad. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask and I'll try to answer them just for a couple of minutes. It's already 5 o'clock, but let me know. Otherwise I'll go and we don't have to worry about this. Bye, Sydney. Goodbye, Yamazaru Ninja. Goodbye. So Android is there not needs a push. I have no idea what that means. At least Android has navigation. Good point. Windows Phone turn-by-turn navigation. I mean, obviously it has maps and it'll give you directions, but turn-by-turn navigation, that's a good point. It's not where Android is right now. For me, I don't really use turn-by-turn navigation too much, so it's not that big of a deal, but that is a very good point. Sydney, do you like chocolate? Of course, everybody likes chocolate. Does anyone know where to get the Windows 7 keyboard for Android? I haven't even looked, but if I could find it... Okay, I'm going to say this. Windows Phone Virtual Keyboard is the best virtual keyboard that I've ever used. And that's another thing that I missed, was the virtual keyboard. Let me see if I can find that. Windows Phone Keyboard. Keyboards? It really is the best keyboard. I don't know. I don't see it. I just did a search. I don't see it, though. Okay. You clearly never use SwiftKey. I have used SwiftKey. I actually have it downloaded on this Android phone. That's the one I'm using. But, and before I switched to Windows Phone, SwiftKey was the best keyboard that I've ever used. But then I switched to Windows Phone, and I think the Windows Phone keyboard is better than SwiftKey. SwiftKey is great, and it's probably the best Android virtual keyboard. Did I say physical earlier? SwiftKey probably is the best virtual keyboard for Android, but if like counting all of them, I think Windows Phone has the best virtual keyboard overall. Okay, let me get one last question. Do you think Android makes new software updates too often? I hear they're already going to release Jelly Bean at Google I/O. This is a hot topic, Android updates, and you guys know how I feel. I hate fragmentation, but not everybody does, so to each his own. In terms of the updates, are they too fast? No. If Google feels like it needs an update, then Google has the right to send out an update, and actually I'm glad they do. I'm glad they see problems and then create updates to fix them. I think that's awesome. The problem is not how often they're released, it's the manufacturers don't keep up. Now, can they help that? I mean, is it maybe they just can't keep up with it, or maybe it takes too long to test and to send it out. I mean, maybe that's a problem, but I definitely think they could do a lot better. In fact, we know they can because you have phones coming out with the update. Huawei sends out an update like a month after Ice Cream Sandwich came out, and yet Samsung and HTC are like, yeah, it's gonna take about 4 months. And it's like, so how did Huawei get the update sent out like in a month? And I mean, they have less phones, but they still did it. So I think they could do a lot better. The problem is not how often the updates are released. The problem is the fact that the manufacturers have no commitment to it. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's all. That's the show. I'm glad you guys could be here. I had a really great time. It was beautiful. There were some beautiful moments. So thanks for coming. If I missed your question, I'm really sorry. I try to answer all of them. Sydney, you should do voices more often. I don't really mean to. I just, I'm just trying to, I don't know. It's okay. Thank you. Anyway, if I missed your question, you can send me a message on Twitter at PhoneDog_Sydney. But I'll see you guys next week, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And remember, next week I'll be airing segments of the interview with Martin Cooper, the creator of the first cell phone. So be sure to watch that. And also keep it on PhoneDog because we're going to have the full review the full interview posted on PhoneDog. So I guess that's it. Thanks, guys, for watching on Ustream, on Facebook, on YouTube. I will see you guys later. Bye.